joining us from Port Harcourt is an environmentalist, Mr. Mishak Uyi, joining us right now via Zoom. Mr. Uyi, can you hear us? Hello, Mr. Uyi. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're
Thanks
welcome
for
to
having
Signature
me.
TV. So,
Thanks for
Mr.
having
Uyi,
me.
with the current threats with the floodings across Nigeria, and with the recent flooding in Enugu State, particularly in our Niri local government area, my question to you, sir, is Port Harcourt experiencing the same reality? What is the situation with flooding in Port Harcourt currently?
Yeah, the situation in Port Harcourt is not different from what is happening in Enugu State. Port Harcourt, even though we're naturally drained, have a challenge of flash flooding, which is as a result of storm events, heavy downpour, occasioned by improper or poor drainage network and management. So flash flooding, or flood as you will want to call it, is as devastating as the normal river flooding. However, what is being witnessed in Port Harcourt and its environment is flash flood due to heavy downpour and not river flooding. That distinction must be made so that we know what problem we are tackling. So that is the distinction I want to make here. Port Harcourt is actually witnessing flash flood, and just like Enugu State is also witnessing as well.
Okay, Mr. Uyi, what is this flash floods and how do we mitigate it from, going into the normal river flood that we know about? So can you educate us more on this flash flooding, like you call it?
Yes, like the word said, flash. It's as a result of torrential rainfall. When there is heavy downpour for a few hours, and if it coincides with areas with poor drainage network, there is that likelihood that the runoff, the drainages, what we refer in this part of the world as gutters, if they are blocked by wastes, improper disposal of wastes, these runoffs will find nowhere to empty and to run through, and so they will waterlog.
We seem to be
and because
having
of
technical difficulties, and we will keep
yeah.
Mr. Uyi on standby pending when we resolve the technical issues. Right now, we're going for a break. When we come back, New Day continues. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, still on the flood, Miss Ham. We are in studio with Dr. Uyi. Please, Dr. Uyi, can you hear us?
Yes, I
Hello.
can hear you.
Okay, talking about flood in Nigeria currently. Are there sensitization programs going on? What are this level of preparedness to make sure that the people in the locals are actually managing this flood when it happens? Are there level of preparedness? Are there sensitizations coming from the government and federal bodies?
Okay, thank you. Let me correct an impression. Uyi is not a doctor yet, in the making, but not a doctor yet.
All right, sorry
Thank you
about
for
that.
that. However, for River State, I think there has been preparations are ongoing. As we speak, there is a bill before the River State House of Assembly um, um, on National River State Emergency Management Agency, proposing the establishment of a state emergency management agency, which has been something I have been clamoring long before now, that there is need for a state emergency management agency that will be saddled with responsibility of handling issues of flood and disasters like fire and all other emergencies are in the state. Hopefully that bill can see the light of day, and then it will be passed and then put into action. However, preparedness for flood in River State ought to have started like yesterday. What do I mean? It ought to have started immediately from the end of last year flood. However, that has not been done. What we are enlightenment campaign has also not started. What we've had in being done is just from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, informing the various states, including events in the states and including River State and the local governments as it were. However, my concern is that flood is not a disaster. Flood, it's a hazard. It only becomes a disaster if not properly managed. And we have all the opportunities, all the time to have to plan on its management. Unfortunately, we have not planned how to manage flood. And each time it comes, it becomes a disaster because of poor management. My proposal has been, and my proposal has been that a state emergency management agency ought to be established. Then proper management and coordination ought to be done right even before the onset of the rainy season. Now, what is happening now is lack of proper data. What do I mean? If you don't have proper data, it will be difficult to even properly manage and intervene in an event of flood. River states and indeed Niger Delta, and particularly the Orashi region, has never not been properly delineated and categorized as flood-prone area by the concerned authorities, particularly the National Emergency Management Agency and the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. Recall that the 2012 flood and including the 2022 flood, which was the highest in the history of this, which are the highest in the history of this country, went by without even a mention of River State as having been in fact affected by that flood. What was reported was that the flood that affected River State was as a result of rainfall, which was completely out of it. Yes, we know that NIMET's prediction, which is about rainfall, results in flash flood, or what you call urban flooding, as it's being witnessed in Enugu right now and in Port Harcourt and part of Port Harcourt and into the environs. However, flash flood does not last more than 4 hours or 6 hours. it will drain out. What the major challenge the River State and Orashi region, and indeed Orashi region and Niger Delta has up to this period, in this moment, is river flooding. And this is occasioned by the fact that the carrying capacities of the major rivers in this area, in this Niger Delta, and particularly Orashi region, has been greatly reduced. What do I mean? The major river like Orashi River has been heavily silted. Is heavily silted, such that any little overflow from River Niger will cause flooding in the Orashi region, Orashi area. River Niger itself is also heavily silted, so that any overflow from Benue in the event of the opening of Lagdo Dam by Cameroon overflows River Niger, and hence that the entire area downstream, including the Orashi region, will be flooded. And this river, especially River Niger and River...
What would you say would be the immediate intervention to stop these overflow boundaries? Would it be tantamount to the government enforcing some kind of dredging in the affected rivers?
Definitely. Two solutions. As for the flash flood or urban flooding, as witnessed in Enugu, Port Harcourt, and part of Port Harcourt and its environment, what the government can do is immediately desilt canals and drainages within Port Harcourt and its environs, complete desilting of those canals and removing of debris and waste from those drainages would halt the frequent flash flood or storm events that we witness every now and then during downpours. That is for the flash flood. Now, for the river flooding, which happens around from September to around October, November, which is as a result of river flooding, dredging of Orashi River from Uguta Lake down to Degema, Uguta Lake in Imo State down to Degema in River State, clearing of the dredging of the entire stretch of Orashi would increase the carrying capacity such that the Orashi will not overflow every year. The dredging of River Niger is also very, very important. Those contracts for the dredging of these two major rivers has been awarded in the past. However, they were not executed as planned. Unfortunately, we are at the mercy of Cameroonian authorities, so that anytime they open their Lagdo Dam, which is in Benue River, it overflows River Niger, and River Niger overflows Orashi, and the Orashi region is flooded, which also affects Bayelsa and River State. So my suggestion is two-pronged: dredge Orashi River, dredge River Niger, desilt the major drainages and canals in Port Harcourt and environs. Then you have solved the twin problem of flash flood or urban flooding, and then the perennial river flooding as witnessed in Orashi region in River State. Thank you.
All right. So before we let you go, let's talk data management. Nigeria, across all sectors, not just with environments, witnessed a lot of poor data collection, poor data analysis, poor data storage. To what extent do you think, or rather, what agency or ministry is saddled with the opportunity of gathering data as regards flooding, so as to avoid, subsequent flooding? Hello,
Okay,
Mr. Oyi, are you still there?
Yes. For the state, particularly for River State, because we don't have a state emergency management agency already, the River State Ministry of Environment in River State, the Department of Flood and Erosion Management is saddled with that responsibility. However, for the federal government, the agency saddled with that responsibility is the National Emergency Management Agency, which is saddled with responsibility of gathering data with regards to annual rainfall and its effect in Nigeria. And then the National Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, which is saddled with responsibility of gathering data as regards to river flooding, overflow of the hydrological data of our rivers in Nigeria. So These two agencies for the federal government, the NISA and NIMET, are saddled with the responsibility of giving us accurate data with regards to volume of rainfall and then volume of water in the river, respectively. However, this data has been disjointed to the extent that regions like River State, Orashi region, and particularly River State, has been neglected in this important data, which to the extent that whenever flood happens, we are not even recognized as flood prone or have been affected because we've not even been categorized or delineated as such. So accurate data is very, very necessary if we have to manage flood and its attendant effect adequately. If you don't get the proper data, then you will not be able to even manage disaster issues, especially hazard like flooding, which will eventually lead to disaster because of poor management. And so it is my call on NISA, which is responsible for data management with regards to rivers and hydrology, and then NIMET, which is responsible for data gathering as regards to rainfall, to also consider areas that they've not been able to gather. Yes, they will tell you, oh, they've been gathering. I tell you, there is a data management facility which is to gather data with regards to level of flooding in river. That one of the such data is at Imbiama. If you are going to Bayelsa, it's at Imbiama. Now, that facility has broken down since 2018. And that facility cannot even generate because it's already broken down long ago. And how do you now rely on such facility to get accurate data? These are the facilities that NIMET and NISA rely on, and then give us false data, and then give our people false hope every year. And so our people somewhere every time are caught napping because the data that comes from these agencies are not accurate because they are not on ground to know what is the situation. And so our people are caught napping each year. Unfortunately, that is the situation. And so I want to call on the agencies to please do their part. Get accurate data. Delineate, categorize River State, Orashi region, Niger Delta adequately so that in terms of management, we'll be able to do. Then for the state, immediately set up the State Emergency Management Agency so that it can handle issues of disasters, especially like flood, fire, and the rest, as is envisaged. And then the local government should follow suit by establishing the local government emergency management authorities so that the activities can also be cascaded in the local areas as well. Now, information is supposed to come from the community to the local government, from the local government to the state, from the state to the national. Now, that is how the flow of information is supposed to go. However,
Okay, Mr.
because these structures are not, everything is disjointed.
We'll be cutting you off from there. But grabbing from what you said, poor management. All right, so what do you think is the economic consequences of this poor flood management in Port Harcourt and Nigeria at large?